And we're starting in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome back, everybody. Back to episode 3 of Endzone to Endzone. Today we have quite some amusing topics to talk about. This week has been a very, very drama-filled week. Has been quite exciting for the NFL. We had another player retire this week, but that retirement is only a small one. Not that the player is not important, but the position-wise, it's not as exciting as the rest of the topics. But that doesn't mean I'm going to get to it. So today we got 4 topics that I will be talking to you guys about. And let's get started. So the first topic that we are getting right into is this topic about the contract of Russell Wilson. For any of you guys who don't know who he is the quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks. He was the quarterback that was with that team when they won their Super Bowl, and he's been their quarterback since. He is 30 years old. He's been a starter since his Super Bowl win, and he's considered by many in the league and out of the league to be a top 5 quarterback in this league, in the NFL league right now. So he's definitely a very good quarterback. I wouldn't really say he's the best, nor will I say that he's not deserving of his compliments by these other people in the NFL circle that consider him one of the best quarterbacks in today's game. So the deal with him is that his contract extension he got from the Seattle Seahawks after he won his Super Bowl with them is coming to an end. And with it coming to an end, he obviously is very, very underpaid in terms of quarterback dollars, and he has had more success in his career than many of the guys. And when I say many, I mean probably 80% of the guys that are being paid more than him. He's had much more success than they've had in their careers. So if you just look at it from that standpoint, the guy definitely deserves to get paid. Now, how much, right? There's always that. There's a general consensus of, yes, he deserves to get paid. But then no one really fully agrees on how much he should get paid. And the reason for that is because for as successful of a player as he is, for as good of a player that Russell Wilson is, he's never really stood out as a top-tier quarterback that you would just look at year in, year out based on his performance, that he is one of the best NFC quarterbacks. And I understand that a lot of these Russell Wilson backers, they look at it and say, how can you say that? Look at the talent he has to work with when he's with it on his offense, with such a bad offensive line, no run game. His receivers are okay-ish, and he's still able to take that team to multiple playoffs, deep into playoffs, and have success. And even when everybody was kind of leaving and everyone thought that he was going to do bad, he still took his team to the playoffs this season, even though they lost in the beginning of the playoffs. he still did it. So you know, people can go, you know, these Russell Wilson backers will go and say that, and I get it. I don't disagree with those things about him, but it's just one of those things where, you know, for as good, right, of a quarterback he is, like, look at his achievements. He's never won a regular season award, okay, for quarterbacks. When I say quarterback, I mean like the MVP, because everybody knows the MVP is like a quarterback award. He's never won Offensive Player of the Year. He's never won those things. He's won one Super Bowl, which was like at the beginning of his career. Then he's gone to 5 Pro Bowls, but the thing is, Pro Bowls are fan voted things. So for me, yeah, they're nice to say, but they're never really like all that great. I don't look at Pro Bowls as, oh yeah, if you make it to the Pro Bowl, you're legit, especially because how nobody really goes anymore, and so there's guys who are going in who don't deserve it, and so he goes into the Pro Bowl. He's a very popular dude. All right, he's the franchise quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks as right now. He's won a Super Bowl. He's very famous, and he's very likable. The guy, his personality wise, what he's shown to the public in the NFL and to the media, he's very likable, and so people will vote him in. He's not a bad quarterback. Like, I don't say these things about him because I think he's a bad quarterback. I think he's a great quarterback, but I just don't feel that he is as legit as everyone likes to say. And you would think that for as much as he does, the guy should be, for as loved as he is by everybody in the league, you would think that the guy's been listed as an all-pro for the teams, for the league, but he's never been listed as first team all-pro or second team all-pro. Never. Like Russell Wilson, I think, like, if I had to kind of summarize him as a player, he's like the perfect cog quarterback, where he truly like makes a team run. Whether it's because he's always just trying to make a smart move. He's never really trying to make the risky move. Once in a while, Russell Wilson will attempt a risky move, but most of the time, he's always just looking to make the smart move. Now, I look at part of his success in the Seattle Seahawks team overall success. I still believe a big part of it comes from their defense and from a legit run game. Like, I understand that in his career, he's never had a losing season. You know, he's never gone less than, his worst season was last year in 2017, where he went 9-7. His stats, he threw 34 touchdowns and 11 picks. You know, which is good. You know, it's real good for his caliber, like Russell Wilson's caliber. That's truly the type of player he is. He's a mid-30 range touchdown quarterback to a 10 to a low teens interception quarterback, and that's really has been his career. The guy's never had more than 11 interceptions. But he's never thrown more than 34. I mean, well, he threw 35 just this past season, but I mean that was his best. And we're talking, he's been playing for, 8 years or so, and he's only been finally able to put up 35 touchdowns. So, yeah, I mean, I get it. I understand that the offense doesn't require him to be throwing that much, which is great because it keeps him healthy. Because the guy they have to keep him healthy because he's their quarterback and all. But it's just one of those things where he wants to get paid, and he deserves to get paid. But I just don't believe that he deserves to get paid the money level of guys like Aaron Rodgers and other guys in the future, that if they're great, if you like chances are he's gonna get paid as much as Aaron Rodgers, maybe even more, because one, he has bested Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs, but he's never really bested Aaron Rodgers in the regular season. And two, he'll probably get paid that much simply because that's kind of like the going rate for quarterbacks. And because guys like Kirk Cousins got paid that much, and Jimmy Garoppolo got paid that much, then the Seahawks are kind of like in a bind, because the Seahawks are looking at his rap sheet and they're kind of like, yeah, Russell, we understand, like, you're clutch, okay, you're really clutch and all, and we get all of that, but based on how you average, you're never gonna get 40 touchdowns. I mean, Patrick Mahomes' first year starting, Patrick Mahomes got 50 touchdowns. So, Russell, you're never gonna get that. You barely crack 4,000 yards. You don't ever get 5,000. And in a league where it's all about passing and passing and passing, I mean, the guy, because he doesn't have a lot of passing yards, what it tells you is that the offensive game plan is very freaking good. Like, hit a lot of his touchdowns just comes from the fact that he doesn't have a lot of yards to work with, and so he makes it work. And I understand that, not that there's the term, not every quarterback can do that, but I just kind of feel like it's really the system. Like, I don't truly feel that Russell Wilson is that great, ultra great as a quarterback. Like, I've always had like the feeling that he is the most what's the phrase for it? He's the most roller coaster riding quarterback that I've ever seen, because Russell Wilson will go like 3 games of being completely badass. He will kick butt all over the place. He will throw 3-4 touchdowns, no picks, maybe 1, but he'll throw like 300 plus yards. And then Russell Wilson will literally go another 3 games of doing nothing. He'll literally go another 3 games of like 1 pick, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, and like 120 yards. They still win the game because the team is coached very well, and the team is very talented. Their scouting guys know what to look for, and they have a good game plan. So like, that's just the thing about that. I look at Russell Wilson is, I'm like, are you willing to pay the guy a 6-year, because he's gonna get like a 6-year, a 6-7 year deal for like $190 million, maybe even $200 million, right? For like $200 million, and only get a production of 35 touchdowns, 3,500 yards. Yeah, he's very clutch, but his clutch comes from depending on what team he's going against. Not only that, you have to look at it as how many times is he going to be inconsistent, because that's just the thing. Is like, he's one of the most he's I'm not going to say one of the most. He is, to me, the most inconsistent great quarterback I have seen my entire life. He's really freaking good, but you're never really going to know what you're going to get out of him based on the type of defenses he goes against. Like, if he goes against a physical defense, who knows how he might be. If he goes against a soft cheese defense, oh, he's gonna look great. If he goes against a defense, his rivals, his division rivals, it's topsy-turvy. You don't know if he's gonna be good that day, if he's gonna be bad that day. You don't know. And that's just the thing. Is like, I'm looking at his fourth quarter comebacks, and the teams are like Arizona. Like last year's, the teams were Arizona, Carolina, Green Bay, and Arizona again. He had think about it. Like, he had to do a fourth quarter comeback against Arizona twice, Green Bay, and Carolina. All those teams were bad last year, and he had to do a fourth quarter comeback. Yet he played against some good teams, and he whooped their butts. And it's just like, why? Why are you struggling against these bad teams? Is that really a quarterback you want to pay that much money for? I'm a firm believer of how teams perform against their competition, right? And if it's a bad team that this player is playing against and he whoops their butt, I'm like, yeah, you're supposed to. I'm not ooh and awed by it. You're supposed to kick their butt. They suck. But if you're playing against these bad teams and you're struggling to get a win, and you have to be a part of, because I'm not going to say make, I'm going to say be a part of a fourth quarter comeback. Like, dude, you shouldn't be struggling against Arizona. They're the worst team. And he struggled against them. 20-17, 27-24. This is the guy that people are saying is a top 5 quarterback. That, to me, is a problem. And it's not like it's an anomaly thing. No, he literally has been like that all his career. Like, Russell Wilson will do really freaking good, and all of a sudden he'll just stink it up. So, I think that he definitely deserves to get paid more than a guy like Matt Ryan. I believe he deserves to get paid more than a guy like Matt Ryan. I understand Matt Ryan has really good stats, but there's one thing that Russell has on Matt Ryan, is that Russell just knows how to win, and he definitely deserves to be paid more than Jimmy Garoppolo and Kirk Cousins. But I don't see him being a higher paid quarterback than Aaron Rodgers, than Drew Brees, even Tom Brady. But Tom Brady is an anomaly in the history of NFL, especially in this era. So I think he deserves around near what Aaron Rodgers got. Aaron Rodgers does. I believe Aaron Rodgers is getting like $134 million for 4 years, and he's getting 33.5 per year. I get that, but there's no way for me I would pay Russell Wilson $34 million per year for his play style. I just wouldn't. First of all, he's 30. And secondly, the way he plays, he's too inconsistent for me to see that he deserves that money. Like, he's gonna get paid that money, and then he's gonna start being inconsistent, start making some hiccups, and everybody's gonna criticize him. Everybody who backed him up for getting paid, they're gonna come back and they're gonna criticize him and be like, you cannot be paid this much money and be doing this stuff. Like, that's not what they paid you to do. And I'm going to sit back and be like, duh, that's why you don't pay him that much money. So I think he should get like $30 million per year, in my opinion. Now, he obviously is giving the Seahawks a ultimatum. He wants that deal to be done by April 15th, which is like next week. or 2 weeks from now, essentially. But it's a Monday, and he wants them to get it done by April 15th. I mean, if they don't, who knows? I mean, the guys, obviously there's rumor that his wife, who's Ciara, she's a music artist. There's rumor that she wants him to go to New York, and the Giants might make a trade for him, blah blah blah. But I just think that the Seahawks should only pay $30 million for him, and they should front load it, because I just don't think that he's worth $34 million. I just don't. That's just too much for a guy who is going to give you probably 9 to 10 games of playing really good, and then another 6 of just playing really bad. If you're going to get paid that much money, you better be great the whole entire season. I don't care. So that's just the way I see it. I think that if the Seahawks pay him 34, they're making a mistake.
Now on to the biggest drama that happened in NFL's week of this week was the huge article that was dropped by the Bleacher Report sports article writer, Tyler Dunn. He dropped it yesterday on Thursday, and he titled it "What Happened in Green Bay." It's pretty long, very detailed, very interesting article. If you guys have the opportunity to read it, please do. It is a very interesting article, a very interesting take, and honestly, for me, I'm kind of not surprised by the way that this drama ended between Coach Mike McCarthy and quarterback Aaron Rodgers in their time with the Green Bay Packers together. Because, I'm not like a lot of the other sports analysts or opinionists, television figures, whatever, where they were more forgiving for a guy like Mike McCarthy or for a guy like Aaron Rodgers, right? First of all, I'm not a Green Bay Packers fan. I think Aaron Rodgers is a great quarterback, but I totally understand that I'm not a diehard Aaron Rodgers fan. Like, I'm a fan of great players, but I'm not a diehard Aaron Rodgers fan. The guy is extremely talented. Aaron Rodgers is probably the most talented passing quarterback that we've seen since Peyton Manning. Okay, and just when we're talking about just pure passing and pure ability to play the NFL game, is probably since Peyton Manning. And because he's that talented, there are many things that Aaron Rodgers was able to overcome simply because of that talent. He's the best at throwing the comeback routes, the back shoulder fades. I mean, he made the back shoulder fade famous. All right. Aaron Rodgers made the back shoulder fade famous. It's because of him that everybody does it now. It's because of him that everybody tries to do these perfectly timed comeback routes. And he forever changed the game in NFL. Like, Aaron Rodgers is an anomaly just as much as a guy like Tom Brady is an anomaly in the NFL. There will never be another guy like Aaron Rodgers. And there will, because of the fact that what he's been able to do in the NFL was he put up monster numbers, extremely efficient, and he won with it. With extremely bad coached defenses. And when him being able to do that, we won't see that happen again, because maybe the next guy it could be Patrick Mahomes be the next guy. But to see a guy throw, less than 10 picks and 40 touchdowns, maybe almost 10 picks only, but like 50 touchdowns, it's unheard of. And to be able to do it year in, year out, like he's not like Tom Brady, where Tom Brady would have a year where Tom Brady goes bonkers. But Tom Brady will get like 40 touchdowns and like 5 picks, and his next season he'll be like 33-10 or 33-14 or something like that. 33-7 or and that's just the thing is, whereas Aaron Rodgers is like consistent upper 30s, maybe even in the 40s, and low amount of interceptions, 10 or under or something like that. It's that is very rare, guys. All right, that's very rare, because when you're passing that much, teams key on you, and we chances are we won't see that again. But with this whole drama situation that happened, everyone was, and I remember when it started. After the Cardinals beat the Packers in December of last year, everyone, and then Mike McCarthy got fired, everyone was just killing Rodgers over it. Oh, it's just Rodgers. Rodgers got him fired, man. It's just Rodgers. McCarthy is such an offensive genius. McCarthy this, McCarthy, sure, he may not have. And it was almost like people were playing the sympathy card for Mike McCarthy. Yeah, we get it. He didn't really update his plays, but Aaron Rodgers didn't execute. And Aaron Rodgers the one playing. And he's defiant. And he's changing the plays. It's all this baloney, right? And I've always looked at it as, okay, first of all, as a coach, you want your quarterback to go out there and you call a play and you want him to look at the defense and change it up, because you're not freaking out there and you can't communicate to him about that. So if he's able to see it and change it up, you should be happy he does that, regardless of whether it succeeds or fails. Now, chances are, in Aaron Rodgers' case, it succeeds more than it fails. But if it fails more than it succeeds, then yeah, you talk to him. But if it succeeds more than it fails, just shut the hell up. Just shut up. Like, seriously. Because you can't tell me a single great quarterback who succeeded more than he failed when he changed up a play call. You can't tell me that that's a problem. Because Tom Brady does it. Peyton Manning did his entire career, and it didn't always succeed. All the greats didn't. All the great quarterbacks didn't. I don't care what you say. All the great quarterbacks did it, because every single great quarterback knows their shit. That's just the truth. You don't have great quarterbacks who don't know their shit and become great. It just doesn't happen. And, with Mike McCarthy fired, Aaron Rodgers plays a few more games hurt. He was never 100% because he got hurt. They don't make the playoffs, and for 2 years in a row now they don't make the playoffs, and everyone kills him over it because everybody knows Aaron Rodgers' reputation. The dude's an asshole. Great players are assholes. Tom Brady's an asshole. Tom Brady is just really good at hiding it. Aaron Rodgers is an asshole. There are a lot of issues with it. With Aaron Rodgers. If you don't get it, he'll tell you. He will get mad at you. He will yell at you. You will hear it from him that you need to get your ish right? You need to get your things correct if you want to play with me, because, well, he's the goddamn quarterback. And in today's league, in the NFL's league today, you have to, if your quarterback is that good and he's not only is he that good, but he's proven he's that good, you have to let him play. And the way that this relationship between Rodgers and McCarthy fell apart, it stemmed from a long time of disagreements. I mean, there's many examples. The Seattle Seahawks game against the Packers in the NFC Championship. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, just go look. You'll know what I'm talking about. The amount of conservative play calling that Mike McCarthy calls up. The fact that Mike McCarthy would not bench guys for making dumb moves or even giving them a second chance for deciding to go play hero ball, right? Brandon Bostic, or the most recent one in the Packers and Seahawks game in the regular season, this past one, where Ty Montgomery screwed it up. No, it was the Rams. It wasn't Seahawks. My bad. It's just one of those things where, according to this report, right, McCarthy would skip meetings with the team, getting massages. And whether that's true or not, the fact that some people are saying that happened the fact that comes up is an issue entirely on its own already. But the most standout thing for me was the fact that he would straightforwardly just not listen to Aaron Rodgers. And when you talk about these great teams, right? These really good teams with these coach and quarterback relationships that are really good, like Sean Payton, Drew Brees. What's the one thing that they have? Drew Brees Sean Payton lets Drew Brees draw up plays, and they run it. So Drew Brees feels special. He feels like he's needed. He feels like he has a say. Mike McCarthy didn't do that for Rodgers. Mike McCarthy didn't care about Rodgers' opinion. Everyone remembers, and if you don't, go look it up. When they got into that argument on the sideline, and they asked McCarthy about it, and he said, "I'm the coach. I coach. Aaron's the player. He plays. He knows where he should stand." Something like that. Pretty much saying, I call the plays, you play them. So shut up and do your job, player. That type of deal. And because he, really would undermine Rodgers did it back to him. Rodgers is a very petty guy. So, both guys are really wrong in their respect, right? One guy, the guy who's on top, who's above, he had an ego that he would never really cared about what the quarterback wanted. And then the quarterback at the same time would do things just to spite the coach, to annoy him, right? So these two guys, their constant pettiness battle against each other really spelled the end for Green Bay's greatness. But I think the people who should be blamed for this There is no other person that should be blamed for this than Ted Thompson, the GM that allowed all this to happen. Because Ted Thompson is the GM, and Ted Thompson is the guy who kicked out all those defensive players, who chose not to sign them back, the guys who were actually freaking good and went to other teams and succeeded. Not only that, you would never bring in any talent players. Even when he had the opportunity to, he would never do it. He was always trying to save money, saying, oh, because we're trying to save it for Aaron Rodgers. No. You build a team around him. You convince people to come play for that team because there's greatness that can happen. But he never did that. He allowed stuff like this to happen. That's why he's not there. That's why he was fired first. So I put the blame, 100% of the blame of how the Packers organization fell apart, I put it on him. Now, the blame of this pettiness battle between the two, they're 50-50 each. Okay? Both guys are just as much to blame as each other. But I do not for a second believe that this would have ever happened if Ted Thompson just came straight forward and said, all right, I'm going to freaking pick a side. Or, you know what? You guys need to cut it out. Why don't you try it his way for a game or two and see how it goes? Or why don't you just try to listen to him for a week or two and see how it goes? Instead, he allowed that to happen. Now, whether he allowed it or not, I don't know. But the fact is, he didn't do anything about it. So, by not doing anything about it, I say he's the guy to blame. That's why he's not there anymore. I mean, well, he's in a different position now. You know, this situation is like something that can be talked for a long period. And for me, I just look at it as, I knew that I've never been high on Mike McCarthy as a coach. I always felt like his plays were pretty freaking stupid. Just because you look at it, there's no creativity in it, so you can't be called a football genius if there's no creativity in it. And you can't be called a football genius if everybody knows it. Like, that's just the truth. And, you know, Aaron Rodgers definitely is a guy that a quarterback that is not the best to play with if you're not a certain way. Like, if you're just a player that relies on his athleticism, Aaron Rodgers won't care about you. You know, he wants guys who understands the game, who plays the game with their mind before they play it with their body. And you can tell that he likes players like that. Hence why certain players just never worked in the Green Bay offensive system. A guy like Eddie Lacy never worked. And it just comes from the fact, and I'm pretty sure it just comes from the fact that Eddie Lacy, he just didn't study enough. Yeah, he was out of shape. Fat. But because he didn't really understand the game mentally, he was pretty much useless for Green Bay. So we're going to see how this saga turns out, because everyone was saying Mike McCarthy is going to get hired by somebody, and it hasn't happened. So obviously the inner circle of the NFL knows what kind of freaking person he is. But what you're also seeing is that former players have been very critical of Aaron Rodgers, and they are showing now that Rodgers is a very demanding guy. And if you're gonna for any future free agent that's a player that's gonna go to Green Bay in the offensive side, just expect that, because that's who the quarterback is. It's kind of like the Big Ben situation with Pittsburgh. And if you can't tolerate that, get the heck out as fast as you can, because you're going to be wasting your time being there. Because that guy's ultra talented, but if you can't take him personally, you can't take him as a person, you can't deal with him, you're not going to have fun there. And you're just going to hate every minute over and over and over. So that's, it's truly a long time coming, because I've always felt that McCarthy should have been fired like 3-4 seasons ago. But whatever cases, he finally did. So we're gonna get to see how the team is gonna be without him, and we're gonna get to see on whether Aaron Rodgers is gonna finally have what he wants, or is it just that he's washed up. All right, so I think there's going to be more that we're going to get from this, because obviously McCarthy's coming out and he's denying the reports and stuff. So there's definitely going to be more information about this. But I just appreciate the fact that this shows that it truly wasn't just one guy that was the issue. And now on to our reoccurring topic of NFL retirements, with this past week's retirement of the former Green Bay Packer, Miami Dolphin, and Chicago Bear guard Josh Sitton. Sorry about that, guys. He played in the league for 10 years, with 8 of it being with the Green Bay Packers, 2 of it being with Chicago Bears. Now, he probably signed with the Miami Dolphins but didn't really play. So sometimes certain websites, certain databases choose not to track that. But he was on the Green Bay Packers team that won the Super Bowl. So obviously, he is retiring along with TJ Lang and Jordy Nelson. So you really look at, we're talking about the end of an era, right? 3 guys from a Super Bowl winning team all retiring in the same year. It was very nice to see that, with all these guys retiring, it was nice to see Aaron Rodgers release a statement talking about those guys and how much he appreciated their time in Green Bay, and talking about how he really appreciates how they protected him throughout those years. He called them, warriors, right? So, and you look at them, you're like, yeah, pretty much. They look like a bunch of Vikings. Not the Minnesota Vikings, but real Vikings. And then obviously Jordy Nelson did come out and say that if Aaron Rodgers wants him to come back to Green Bay, he'll have a hard time not signing back. So obviously Josh Sitton, he's pretty decorated for an offensive lineman. Obviously a Super Bowl champ and 4-time Pro Bowler. So I don't really know if offensive linemen are given the All-Pro roster spots. I'm not quite sure, but he's been voted 4 times to the Pro Bowl. So that's obviously, as an offensive lineman, just being voted once is kind of like a big thing already, because offensive linemen are not popular. Like that's like the most unpopular position in the NFL. So hats off to him, and I really am happy to see another really good lineman guy retire early, because linemen, they obviously take some of the biggest beating, in the NFL. So he retired at age of 32, which is relatively young for offensive linemen, because we have some that are still playing and they're like in their mid 30s. So he's definitely gonna go down as one of the better guards that have played this game. But I don't think he's gonna make Hall of Fame or anything, because I never really considered him one of the best guards in his time. So, but still, he had a very good going career for him. Obviously, winning a Super Bowl and then 4-time Pro Bowler. So, congratulations to Josh Sitton for a really good career in the NFL. And hopefully he'll thin out. Like, if you guys get the chance to see guys like Joe Thomas and them, I'm pretty sure he'll thin out like those guys. Now on to our final topic of the DeMarcus Lawrence contract that he had received from the Dallas Cowboys. This came towards the end of the week, and he put it was kind of like, we knew that the Cowboys needed to sign him, but we didn't know if the Cowboys were going to be willing to drop, like $100 million on him. So he obviously, if you look at DeMarcus Lawrence's his stats, and how he's performed since he's been drafted, the guy has played about 4 seasons so far, 4, maybe 5 in a way, but he's totaled 34 sacks in his career so far. So maybe 5 seasons right now, he's totaled about 34 sacks. The guy didn't really play as like a full-time starter until just about like 2 years ago. So yes, he's been in the league, but he hasn't been really a starter other than 2 seasons ago, which when he first got his first starting snaps, he got 14.5 sacks in the 2017 season, and then last year in the 2018 season he got 10.5. So that's kind of like really his statistics going off of. He's still young, obviously, being only in the league for about 4 to 5 years. So he's young. He's athletic, and he's one of those defensive. He's one of those defensive ends where he plays the run and the pass at a very high level, which makes him very valuable for a lot of teams, because a lot of times teams have defensive ends where they just play like one or the other. They're either a run stuffer or a pass rusher, and DeMarcus Lawrence is a guy that's considered in the league as a dual threat type of edge rusher, where he's good in the he's good in the run and the pass. The guy is 26 years old. As I said, he's young still, 26. He's a 2-time Pro Bowler, and with the Dallas Cowboys situation, they didn't really have a choice, because they had like Randy Gregory, he's like suspended indefinitely or something like that, and then one of their other guys has been like kicked out of the league, and so those guys and the reason for that is because they can't stay off they can't stay off the drugs. They're always getting busted for substance abuse, so they get kicked out of the league, and so it's really just him. Then you put on top of that, the Dallas Cowboys' other draft picks are not really panning out in Taco Charlton, so he's like the only anchor that they have on that line. So they really, really, really needed to keep him. Now, the contract, when you're looking at it, he's getting a total All right, a total of $105 million for 5 years. But in terms of guaranteed money, he's getting $65 million in terms of guaranteed money. So about $40 million of it is, the whole conditional thing. If you're on the team, you're performing, then you get paid that. So the way the Dallas Cowboys, they did the contract is how every team should do contracts in today's league, is front loading. They front loaded his contract in the first 3 years, give him all his guaranteed money the first 3 years. They're giving him $25 million of signing bonus, $4.6 million roster bonus, and then a $1.5 million base salary for this upcoming season. And then the 2020 season, they're giving him $16.9 million fully guaranteed. And then 2021, they're giving him $17 guaranteed. Then from there, in 2022 and 2023, he's gonna get $19 and $21 million base, but those are only if he's on the team, that type of ideal. So the team chooses to keep him, right? Then yes, they pay him, but if they cut him, then they cut him. So he has to kind of perform no matter what for his first 3 years if he wants to still get paid, which is a smart way for anybody to do contracts in the way the NFL is working out today. Now, if we're just talking about the numbers, obviously he definitely does not deserve to be paid Aaron Donald, Khalil Mack, those type of money. He's not that type of a player. He's actually more like Khalil Mack, and I really don't see the craze in Khalil Mack like how a lot of other people do. But he's more like Khalil Mack, where he'll kind of ball out in a couple of games, kind of go silent in a few, and then kind of kick butt in another 2-3 games, and then go silent another 2-3 games. So it kind of just depends on his competition, and depends on who he's going against. Also, it truly he'll have hot streaks and he'll have cold streaks. So he's not a guy that's typically extremely useful on a defense, game in, game out, where he's consistently wrecking havoc. He doesn't really do that, but not everybody's going to be lucky enough to have an Aaron Donald. That's just the truth. So when you get a guy that's as good as him, you want to keep him, and it's a smart move by the Dallas Cowboys to keep him. So it's a good thing that they did by paying him and keeping him. But I had found out that the way that he essentially signed was Stephen Jones, the son of Jerry Jones, called Khalil Mack personally and talked to him, and somehow convinced him to stay with the Dallas Cowboys. Now, there is an issue with that. If some of you guys don't know, that's not really a good look. People of the team, the organization, especially guys that are in charge of the head stuff, you're not supposed to contact the player directly. It's kind of goes against player agent rules. You're supposed to contact the agent and not the player. So be on the lookout that if DeMarcus Lawrence doesn't treat his agent right in the next 2 to 3 years, be on the lookout that his agent might leave him, that his agent might get upset and say something bad about him. So, because something like that you're not supposed to do that. That's very bad, and in ways it can be illegal to do that, because you're essentially bypassing the agent and talking to the player. And who knows what these owners and these family members of owners can do and say to convince players to stay, and that's again, you're not supposed to be paying them, under the table money or giving them bribes, right? Those are going to be considered like bribes. You shouldn't be giving those things to players to keep him. That's illegal. So that is a very sticky and weird situation, because right now I haven't seen anything that has come up and talked about how the agent is upset that Stephen Jones called that he called DeMarcus Lawrence directly and talked to him. Now I don't know if they contacted each other. That's probably something that probably did happen, and they're like, we're not going to disclose that information. That's stupid. Why would we disclose such information? So whatever the case is, he got paid. He's on the team. But with this, you definitely can tell that this is how they're going to take care of their next upcoming contracts. They're going to work on Dak's contract first, then Amari's, and then Zeke. That's just the truth, because Zeke's obviously still on for another 2 years, because they're definitely going to pick up his 5th-year option. And typically teams do that so that they can get a longer time to work out a contract. Also, it gives them an extra year to weed out some other contracts. So they're probably going to give Zeke his contract, if they do, last. They'll probably work on Dak Prescott's contract first, because they want to. The whole idea is you want to secure that quarterback before the next quarterback puts another scale on top. And if he does that, then, and let's say Dak takes them to the NFC Championship, or hell, he wins the Super Bowl. Oh man, the Cowboys are a really sticky situation. Now they're really going to have to pay him max money. And that's just the thing, is you want to pay him now, so even if he underperforms later, it's fine. Because if he overperforms later, that's great. But if you wait till a player overperforms, then pay, you're done. You're gonna have to pay them max money. It just doesn't matter at that point. So this was a good enough move by the Dallas Cowboys to secure DeMarcus Lawrence and front load the contract, so that by the time guys like Zeke and Dak Prescott's contract are going to start to hit it, boom, his contract's out of the way, their contract kicks in. So what you're probably going to see is either Amari Cooper or Dak Prescott's contract, the first 3 years, I would say, of those guys' contract are not going to be a lot. It's going to increase the longer they stay. I think that's what's going to be, because you already see how DeMarcus Lawrence's contract is, that his is a lot now and then decrease later. So it's a smart move in the way they did it, and congrats to him. He got paid. He deserves that money, because he's literally the only anchor they got on that D lineman. So congrats to DeMarcus Lawrence. All right, guys, and that's a wrap. I hope y'all enjoyed this episode of Endzone to Endzone. Keep looking at the NFL, because I will. And always remember, like, subscribe, and if you guys want, comment. Feel free to comment on how you guys feel about these situations, and I'll see you guys next week.